Nikito officially said that Streets is not going to come out this year.
What was it that you said? Can you remind me what you said last podcast?
What do you mean? Juice time?
No.
What did I say?
I'm fairly certain that was last episode the one where you're like, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's gonna be this year. There's no way it's not gonna be this year.
Dude, I was like, idiot. I made that okay, dude, this. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam, and I do not know when the wipe is.
And I'm Veritas, and I'm putting you on the news.
I'm putting you on the news. Would you
Put
just
you
look
on the
at it?
news? Just look at it. Just look at the Tarkov news. Because there's a lot.
Bassmaster is the subject of today's podcast.
Today it's an all Bassmaster.
Yes.
It's a Basscast.
It's a Basscast. Wow, our second podcast channel just got formed. Welcome to episode 1.
Welcome to the Basscast, a podcast within a podcast. Where
a podcast
we talk
about all the Basscast things
all
in
the
life.
6-year-old YouTube phenomenon. Yeah.
Wow.
We just talk about bass fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually doesn't have anything to do with Ed Bassmaster. You think there's like a fisherman somewhere who calls himself that and doesn't know? Like he's Ed and he's like, I'm the Bassmaster. You know what I mean?
The Bassmaster.
And he doesn't know that like Ed Bassmaster is a meme.
And someone's just like, would you just look at it and he's like, that guy's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, what do you mean?
The fuck you mean, man? I ain't nothing to be. You putting me on the news? What you talking about?
Just look at it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, that's just something. That's a part of. If this is your first episode of the podcast, that's
You're
just
welcome.
part of what we do here. We do character acting. We do impressions, and we talk about bass fishing.
Old memes. But a lot happened in the Tarkov world today. But before we get into that, we didn't talk a whole lot this week, but you hosted me like a few days ago, and I was like, yo, I saw you on Tarkov. How are you doing? And you were like, I don't know what to say, but it feels like I'm back. And I need to know more. How much?
Oh yeah.
How much have you played Tarkov since and before then? Has it been feeling better? Have you just been leaning it? Because the last time we talked, you were doing just like YOLO Tarkov, like that was your stream. And you were just YOLOing. And then you had that day where you were like, I'm back.
Yeah. No. That might have been. Was that after the last podcast?
It might have been. It might have been actually. I don't remember.
I think it might have been, and that would make sense. I'm not sure, but that would make sense because like the day I decided I was gonna go YOLO, I think late after the podcast, after I was doing runs, I probably did like 40 runs. It got to the point where like I did a bunch of maps. I did reserve and customs and stuff, and then I ended up like after a couple of raids that I was just kind of like bored. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go factory, do a couple and then I inevitably end up 4 hours of just factory runs over and over again. But I died like twice in like 50 runs.
That's crazy.
And it was like lots of juiced guys, lots of teams. I played
Really?
At the beginning. I played customs, so my reserve raids didn't go so well, mostly because the spawns are so shitty, and then I just get like naded by like squads, and there's just no way to dodge the nades or whatever. But customs, I know the map really well, and end up spawning. I only spawn in like one of two places.
Yeah.
So I usually. I spawn right near the boat extract.
Yeah, like all the time.
Which is like where you can just run to marked route and get there before anything, and then just kind of like I usually go up on the roof and then chill and wait for people who are rolling up.
Yep.
But it's been I don't know. I don't want to say anything has changed. I want to be honest and say I think maybe it's just me. But. And I don't think it was that I was in a rut. I think it was that I was playing differently. Maybe it was like less confident or something.
Yeah.
Or I was trying to like not make sound. I was just trying to play differently. And then when it just got to the point where it was like, I'm just going to maybe go back to, without knowing it, similar play style to how it used to be. I've been surviving like 80% of my raids and just completely wrecking. The reason why I said like I'm feeling like I'm back is because like for like the last 4 hours in factory, I just grabbed a Glock 17 with like iron sights, with 7N1, 7N3 1, whatever the good ammo is, and I was just wiping squad chads with pistol, just 180ing, like it was. I don't know,
Hell
dude.
Yeah.
My stat. I mean, I have like no money because I don't take the time to sell anything.
Yeah.
But like my insurance is just full of sick gear. All of my entire stash is just full of, like tier 5 and tier 6 armors that are just all like wrecked and stuff. But so and I have like 2 dog tag cases full of fucking dog tags from like the last week. So I have, what is that?
That's the 200. I think it fits 100.
Yeah, so close to 200. But so I've mainly been playing customs and factory with a little bit of reserve. Reserve ends up being kind of a coin flip, but I still see the annoying netcode people teleporting around all over the place and everything like that. But I don't know. I think I'm just me giving less of a fuck and playing aggressively and using the best gear.
Yep.
I really am starting to think more and more, at least now, that it actually makes a difference.
Dude. Playstyle, dude, 100%. It's huge. It's huge. I want to love reserve so bad, man. We've talked about that. I was trying to play it the other day, and I was just getting spanked just all the time. I don't know what it is, but that's sick. Dude, the playstyle, for sure, it matters. It's just crazy, man. Like, I mean, we talked about it where it's just like all of my clips, all my highlight videos are just clips of me being like, all right, chat, let's just do it for the clip. Like, let's just reckless abandon, you know what I mean? And it makes sense, right? Like, the slower you play, the more reliant you are on audio, right? And if the audio, especially in those like dorms, is such a great because it's really confined, small, and the vertical audio.
That's a really good point. The more reliant you are on your senses that are always wrong.
Yes, and your like vision is never wrong. You never see a guy on second floor and then go, I know there's a guy here. Was he on second or third? You see him on second. Now he might jitter or desync or something like that, but you can see him. So the faster you play, the more you strictly rely on vision and aim. You know what I mean? And so
that's like instinctual, and I still have those instincts. And because I've been playing every day, I'm back to the muscle memory and the instincts of 180 flicking, full auto spraying, whatever. 100%.
So it's just play fast, and you just don't have to rely on the senses. The other thing I've been doing, which is the complete opposite, and just like play almost like as slow as physically possible on maps like Interchange, because basically I'm trying to play to the opposite of that, where I know everybody else no one's playing at a medium pace. I'm probably the only one playing at a super slow pace. Everyone else is playing fast. So if I wait long enough, they'll get impatient and start running. And then I'll figure out where they are from there and then kind of get the kill. You know what I mean? But
and you have to play. I mean, this actually is like, I don't know, I feel like it's telling, but like you have to play on the other extreme, not like smart and slow and tactical, but like you can't move. You have to put your back in a corner or in a bush or whatever, and you have to just wait. As soon as you move, everybody on the map knows where you are, and they're throwing nades and they're shooting you. You need to, if you see somebody run by, don't pull a trigger until you can one-tap them, because as soon as you miss that first shot, they're 180 and whip and shoot
100%.
You need to just catch everybody out. And so that's why it's like, it's literally just Chads running around and people in bushes hiding.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the game right now.
That's the game. But if you are like you and you have the instincts and the aim and the fundamentals, like you were saying, the ability to aim, the ability to 180 and click, then the Shift W is just, it's the most fun way to play, because you're still going to get cucked. You're still going to, get frustrated by the guys who are in the bushes. You're still going to get net coded. But when things are working okay, you're going to come out on top a decent amount, because you can snap and get those kills. This is just we've been talking about this a ton in chat, but this is a complete different thing. I've been spending a lot of time in between raids, or if I'm playing with a duo and my friend and I died and I'm waiting for my friend to get out, I'll go in the hideout with like a 60 round mag and an M4, put it on single fire, and just snap as quick as I can between headshots of the 3 targets we have at different distances. Boom, 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 different orders and stuff like that. And I've noticed a difference. And we've been talking about that a lot, where it's like, I wish you could upgrade the firing range in the hideout to get it like twice as long and have targets that move forward and backward and left to right. Like, that would be, it would be like that's as far as you go, right? We don't need like aim lab in Tarkov, but even just that, you go and just press a button and things go forward and backward and one of the targets goes left and right. Being able to practice with your gear on, Gen 4 Alt and M4, now I have all the bonuses or buffs to my movement and I can practice with this kit, snap, 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 snap. I think that would be fun.
I just had the $1 billion idea.
Hit me with it.
This is how we introduce speedrunning to Tarkov.
Oh.
Imagine if you could press a button and it was like beep, 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 and it was like there was a set like pattern of things that would pop up, and as soon as you shot one, another would come up, and maybe, I mean, there could be like a random mode, but there could also be a mode where it's like it's similar to the CSGO. There's like you can speedrun the CSGO like training map.
Yep.
Where you're like throw a nade over there, and then like it's the same setup every time. How quickly could someone go bang 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 in like the exact pattern?
And you can even
all the game would need to do is put a timer up on the screen, and as soon as the timer starts, you're able to shoot the target, and then as soon as the last bullet hits the thing, it stops, and then it would give you a time. Holy shit, that would be on speedrun.com.
You could break it up like you were like we've talked about with Zelda, like different categories, or Mario where it's like 16 star, 10 star. You could do like 1 gun or 3 gun where you have to do the first 10 with an AR, then you swap to a pistol for the next 10. Like in real life they do those 3 gun things. Like
it was like, well, maybe there's 20 targets and you only have a 10 round mag in each one.
Exactly.
Or something.
Exactly. That would be dude, that would be so much fun.
I would sit there all day and just grind 100%. That until, and then we'd all be gods. Like,
because it makes a difference. As somebody who picked up Tarkov as my first PC game, as somebody who never, really played, CS:GO. A lot of those games were like headshots and like insane snappy aim were really, really important. I grew up playing single player games and Call of Duty, and you know what I mean. Like, I feel the disadvantage. I watch guys like Landmark, and I'm like, oh my god, like you always put your crosshair on their head. And that's because, we played a lot of PC games. So I just spend what little time I have in between raids and between, stuff in the hideout, just snapping back and forth, practicing transfers. And it's crazy how, like, some of my mods will tell you, like, yo, like, I've got clips of me, like, wiping 2 or 3 mans with 1 mag where it's just, like, dead, dead, dead. And then I'm like, what the hell? So that practice does. So stuff like that in Tarkov would be sick. Because it's not free. It's not like free experience or getting better for free. You have to spend the time practicing, but it's a way to spend some time practicing if you want to. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, imagine a workshop where like community could make fucking.
Oh, I mean, that would be like the dream, bro.
That would honestly like the
Halo's
difference between
Forge and Tarkov.
The difference between making that mini game in the hideout and making a system where people could design the mini games. All you need to do is, I mean, you wouldn't make it like infinitely dynamic.
Yeah, of course.
There's these rows of things. There's X amount of targets. There's ones that come down from the top with circles. There's silhouettes that come up from the bottom or from the side, or things that flip up. And then like the difference in work, it's like 120% work to like make a system that other people like just put a UI on whatever system they're using to build it.
Yeah. It would be so sick, bro.
If there was just a community fucking maps that you could just go download and then compete and stuff.
And they wouldn't have to, it would be like solo, like you download them, so they're not taking up server space. You download them and play them solo, you know what I mean? It's for time, you know what I mean, to compete or to train. It'd be sick.
And everybody in the chat's talking about like, oh, it sounds like aim labs. I know that there's a million things that exist, but I'm saying like in Tarkov. Like with Tarkov's guns and Tarkov's gunplay, with Tarkov's optics.
Yeah. And the thing is, even if you can sensitivity match to like an aim lab or something like that to practice aim, you go back into Tarkov, you throw in a Gen 4 and it's different. You throw in an Alton, it's different. So being able to, because that's how Tarkov works, you know what I mean? So having something built into Tarkov means you could practice with gear, you know what I mean? With gear sets, with guns, like all that stuff affects, you know what I mean? Like the ergo of the gun, you know, it's just, so it'd be cool.
Also, you mentioned Landmark real quick. We had a nice engagement yesterday
in Factory.
No, in dorms.
Oh, really?
Who won? Yeah, he wrecked me.
Okay,
he wrecked me. It was one of those things like, and when you have as many people that watch Landmark as he does, I had, I don't know how many fucking people come in and say really shitty,
Oh yeah.
you just got fucking destroyed. It's like, okay, but there was a lot of people that came in that were cool.
Yeah, of course.
But then like all the people trying to start drama, and it's like, that's a case where I don't think it negatively reflects on Tony. Like,
no, not at all.
He can't control all these, like, he's got enough people watching him that they're just a mob.
Yep.
It's not like he goes and says, go
100%.
tell him I shit on him, like whatever. But
yeah,
that was interesting. But it was one of those things where I like killed 3 guys, and then like I was like flanking around. A dude jumped out of the window. Do you know the stairs, how you can jump out?
Uh-huh.
So I like peeked in 2nd floor from the metal balcony and was like shooting, and then the guys were peeking me, double peeking me from by the middle staircase. I'm like, fuck. So I went around and I was reloading as I ran down the stairs and going to flank around to the other side, and all of a sudden through the window the guy is flying, and I'm like halfway through the reload. I'm like, I'm dead. And in midair he pulls out the fucking orange med kit, the grizzly, and just starts healing, and I'm like, oh, and I just fucking just sprayed him down because he's like, oh shit, he got stuck in that.
Oh my god.
And then I ended up going all the way around to the other staircase, the one that you can only access the 2nd floor on that side, with the van. And I like opened the door, and I walked up really quietly, like clink, clink, and opened the door, and I'm like scoped in with like my hammer on like down the hallway, and all of a sudden I counted, it was 3 or 4 frames of kind of black silhouette, and I was dead. It was like, he didn't even like quick peek,
and then
he kind of like slow peeked it. But of course, when I timed it with the number of frames and with the player RTT, it was like 60 milliseconds was exactly how long it took him to like fucking peek out, which is what the player, so I was dead before I even saw him.
Yeah, 100%.
Not that he needed that, but it's like when people came in and were like, you just got fucking wrecked, I was like, yeah, by the game.
Tarkov, yeah, he's killed me 3 times now. He's annihilated me and my duo twice on customs, and then when we were in Twitch Rivals, he got me that one raid. I shot at his teammate, and I saw him just whip around 180 pop. I was like, God dang it! It's like Landmark, and I was like, oh jeez, yeah, it 100%. That stuff super sucks. That happened to me one of the times. He killed me. Somebody was coming in and was trying to basically start some drama where he was like, Landmark says that you're trash at the game. And I was like, buddy, I don't believe for 1 second. I do not believe you for 1 second that Tony is over there being like, yo, what's his name? Double click. Oh, JesseKazam TT. This guy's hot garbage. And then he was like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to go tell him that you think he's a piece of, and I was like, dude, come on. And I actually, this was like a while ago. I actually got in contact with him about it, and he was super chill. He was like, bro, I hate this. He was like, I hate that people do this. And I was like, I figured, man, I didn't want anybody coming in saying I'm saying something. I know that you're not. So he was super chill about it, but it just sucks exactly when you get to that level, when you got 11,000 people watching you, if 0.05% of the people are absolute just units of trolls, that's like 55 people going around trolling, spamming stuff in chat,
which is like
trolling.
3 times people's average viewership.
100%, yeah. So it's rough. It's rough.
That's crazy to think about. Like the number of trolls in someone like that's chat is literally 10 times more the total viewership
of most streamers.
The average fucking Tarkov streamer.
Yep. So it's rough. But anyways, we got lots of cool Tarkov related news and things, and as always, more questions than answers. I think the most interesting thing is today we got that crazy picture of Killa in factory, and it translated from Russian. The thing I think says "Happy Birthday." The little postcard. Did you see that picture?
I didn't see that. I just saw like everybody, because I'm subbed to like. These days when stuff happens, I see like you,
of course,
Geeks, one peg, just like a bunch of like here's the thing that you need to know about. That I'm like, I'm not
100%.
going to watch the goddamn video because I can't
Nice
watch
guy.
Tarkov news.
Yeah. Well, they tweeted.
Anymore,
they
but-
tweeted it was like a postcard, and it was like from in the office and factory, and it had Killa was there, and in Russian it said "Happy Birthday" in the bottom left, and it was like a postcard, and then lurking in the shadows behind Killa, you saw like Tagilla, which is the name of the factory.
Boss?
Yeah, the factory boss.
Oh, are they related?
That's what everybody was like. Yo,
someone says "Happy Birthday, little bro."
Yeah,
so,
it says something like that. So it
they're brothers.
Some people think they're related. Some people think they're like father and son. Some people think that they're like brothers. None of that's been confirmed, but everybody was like, what does that mean? And then people started hopping on Factory, killing Killa, and then that's what spiraled out of today. I
love Geeks' title, not clickbait.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm like, if he's ever gonna do clickbait, this is gonna be the time.
The one.
Yeah.
100%.
Gone sexual, like gone wild, not clickbait.
And of course, people are like, people immediately went crazy theorizing like this is a pre-wipe event, or this means the patch is right around the corner. But then people were talking about, like, I think Sneaky Russian pointed out, I don't know for sure, but I think it has something to do with like 2 years ago today was when they first like announced Killa as the interchange boss. Like, I don't think he came into the game until later, but I think today, 2 years ago, was the first time we saw a picture of him or something like that.
Gotcha, okay.
So it could be part of a pre-wipe event. It could be absolutely nothing and just like happy birthday Killa. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It could be part of a pre-patch event.
Exactly.
So did they? I'm gonna. Oh God, never mind. I'm not even gonna ask the question.
They've done nothing. They've we don't know.
All I know is that I keep seeing shit. Everybody chat lately has been filled with the sometimes it's a question, sometimes it's a statement, sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's a meme, sometimes it's Wipe Thursday, and that I know that's a meme.
Yeah.
But like, if tomorrow Nikita was like, there's gonna be a Wipe Thursday, and he meant like this upcoming Thursday, it wouldn't mean anything because everybody would just say Wipe Thursday, and then half the people would be like, ha ha ha, I know, Wipe Thursday.
100%.
So it's just become I just don't fucking care anymore.
Yeah.
I cannot. You can't even have a conveation about it because it's so much of a meme that it's ruined the actual like discussion.
I agree. But no, we don't know. We don't know anything. I mean, they put this out on a Thursday and everyone's like, they're going to wipe later, but like no. So we'll go through like basically like, we're not going to go like in order of like, we have the Gamescom or the E3 thing and then Pestley interview. And then we got some information either than that. I've just kind of put everything together by patch, and I'm going to start when we talk about Streets. So, because we got the at E3, we got the interview, and then immediately after, apparently he just hit up Pestley and was like, yo, I'm awake. Do you want to interview me? And Pestley was like, sure.
Imagine getting a text message from Nikita. You up?
Yeah. Dude, seriously. And Pestley just like rips his blanket off, like runs to his computer.
Gets all
hey,
sweaty.
Boo, you up?
It's like, oh shit.
So
you been drinking again? You always text me when you're drunk.
Yeah. Imagine. Juice time, baby. So the first and the biggest, like, I guess, letdown of everything, but letdown, whatever. So Nikita officially said that Streets is not going to come out this year.
What was it that you said? Can you remind me what you said last podcast?
What do you mean? Juice time?
No. I'm fairly certain that was last episode the one where you're like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be this year. There's no way it's not going to be this year.
Dude, I was like, idiot. I made that okay, dude, I edited the podcast on Saturday because I was like, if on Sunday they announce a bunch of stuff, I don't want to be late on the podcast. I made the intro to the podcast. This is JesseKazam's hot take. We're going to see something. We're going to see Streets this year. Jesse's hot take. Then we get the Sunday thing, and I post the podcast on Monday. And I knew I'm not going to re-render and edit it. Like, it's in there. I posted it. And oh my God, the comments were like, you guys did not watch both of the interviews. Do
your research.
Yeah, clearly, you guys, dude. And I was like, bro,
you on the news.
I was like, we record it on Thursdays. Veritas tweets it out. I tweet it out. I put it in my Discord. It takes us a few days to edit it. I'm sorry. Like, but it was funny that it was the literal intro of the podcast where I was like, JesseKazam's hot take, boys, hold me to it. We're getting streets this year. Big fat riff, dude. So he said they're moving into next year. Yeah, and of course, so you never know how serious to take what he says, but he was like, he made a point to be like, and we're not talking about like the end of next year or delaying it big time. He's like, we really think we can get it out early. And then he actually, we'll come back to this later about like, to me, it sounds like they could have had it out this year and they made an intentional decision not to, or at least a part of it, but we'll get to that eventually. But of course, in the E3 interview and in the Pestilent interview, he was asking a lot about Streets. And he made this comment, bro, this might be what we've wanted the whole time. He said, Streets is going to be bigger than all of the maps that we currently have combined. It'll be bigger than that.
So
it is open world Tarkov. Streets.
Yes, but as someone who, God, this is like a politics, political, but also like data science, but engineering.
Yeah,
that can mean a million things.
Of course.
If they add up all the surface area of all of the floors on a building, yes, like that just means that building's area is, you know, like,
or if it's
so
huge,
I don't know
but
what
only
that means. 6
of the buildings are explorable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then they can make it really wide, but only 6 of the buildings you can go in, and it feels kind of dead. I think that's
not that I'm not excited by that.
Of course. I think that's why this junk is taking so long and why it keeps getting delayed, is because I think it will be a really explorable map, and it will be, I think, square kilometers even bigger than all the maps. That's, he really made it. Okay, and then he was talking about this, and I think he was talking about this on the E3 side of things, where he was talking to like the guy, not Pestily, right? Not somebody who knows Tarkov in and out. He's talking to like the E3 guy, and he was talking about immersion, and he was talking about how he was like, we want you to feel like you're all alone in this wasteland, but we want you to feel like you're all alone, but know you're not alone. That's the tension we want to create. And
yeah,
that's,
like which is
and
why
that's what you and me
need...
have talked about a lot. Is like, that's what made DayZ so great. Is like, you feel like you're all alone, but you know that this server is full. You know what I mean? And you know you're going to run into somebody, and that eerie feeling. So it was cool to hear him talk about that. We talked about how the Streets trailer really was giving off that vibes when they're walking around. You're seeing these huge skyscrapers. You have no idea if someone's close, if they are close, what floor they're going to be on, like all this stuff. So we got info that, yeah, the it's going to be bigger than all the maps we have combined. And he even said, he's like, we're not getting rid of all the maps. Pesty was like, all right, we can just get rid of all the other maps. And he was like, we're not getting rid of all the other maps. But that's huge. He made some sort of comment like it was like it could be broken into as many as 10 different segments. Like,
and when he says that, does he mean like they're going to be different things you'll select on the map to do a raid in? Or
no, I think
they'll just be like, the map will be section A, and then when B comes out, it'll be A and B, and then C comes out, it'll be A, B, C.
That's definitely the vibe I was getting from what he was saying. Because he said Concordia. So the Concordia is the name of the hotel that
the cruise ship.
I know, bro. I can't.
Down.
I can't not. Concordia is the name of the hotel that trailer that we saw is set in. That entire trailer, he said, took place in that one building and around that building. And he was saying like the part of the map that they call Concordia is big enough to be a Tarkov map in the game today. So he was very much so implying that like when you select Streets, you won't select Streets and then Concordia. He was like, that's big enough, and then we have to like the area around it and this and that, and then so it'll all be a part of it. He confirmed that they're still shooting for 40 players on Streets, which 40 to me feels like right in line, right? Like if we've got like 14 on Interchange or Reserve, and you're telling me that you know what I mean, it's going to be bigger than all the maps we have combined, like 40 might be sparse. You know what I mean? Like everybody, you know, I don't know. Everybody's like,
and also, I mean, everybody always brings up the performance of it.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. We probably have something here about Unity, but to me, I actually don't think. If my understanding, and again, I'm only operating on a combination of what I tested with netcode, all of the things I know about networking and software, what Nikita has told me, and then what my interpretation of what he told me is all of that together, which
is a lot more than a normal person has.
Yeah,
it's not nothing.
I mean, that's what's made me be right about fucking every other goddamn thing I've predicted.
For sure.
Although, you know, I still could be wrong, but if it's true that what Nikita said that causes those lag spikes, it doesn't have to do with
how many
the number of players. It doesn't have to do with the hardware. It's something that if they would fix it for Shoreline or for Reserve, then there's no reason why wouldn't also be fixed for Streets. It's the issue is like it's an issue that is not performance related in the same way that, like, because I could reproduce it if when there were 5 PMCs on factory, we were the only 5.
Yeah,
we'd be standing in a room and then we'd have a huge lag spike, and it's like that's not there's nothing that happened other than the server simulation spawned a bunch of scavs or whatever. So that's
a great point. That's a great point. People talk about, like, man, with the desync right now, it's like if the amount of players and entities on the map was the cause of the desync, factory should just objectively run the best, because it's got less scavs and less PMCs and the smallest map, the least amount of assets to load in, the least amount of scavs to load in, and the least amount of PMCs. That should run like much better than other maps, but it doesn't. You still get the lag spikes, you still get the desyncy, you still get the weird, all the stuff that you've been talking about. So, and that was my thought process as well. It's like Nikita was on a Unity podcast that nobody listened to 6 months ago, where he was saying right now we could fit 20 to 30 PMCs on customs. There's just not enough spawns or extracts. Like, that would just be atrocious. Like, right now we can do that. So I don't even have as much knowledge as you do in the networking and stuff like that. I just have enough common sense to know that with the Mount Everest of code that goes into making this game, I can't say there is lag in Tarkov and there are 14 players on this map, so the number of players is what causes the lag. And if you want to go 40 players, it's going to be more laggy. Like,
it's going to be 4 times more laggy. No,
I'm not saying that that's not the case. I'm saying that, like, in the world of software engineering, I can't say definitively that that is the case. And when the guy that's making the game says 8 months ago, last summer, that, we can fit 20 players on customs right now, it's just too small of a map. And then he says we want to put 40 on Streets. It's like, I just trust that they know what they're doing. Like, there's obviously a problem, and I think I can empathize with that. I can empathize with part of it because people are like, there's a problem and we don't want the problem to be worse. But
okay, so here's this is ding metaphor time.
We made it 38 minutes the first minute.
Think about Tarkov like a house, and think about the way that it performs, like how heat efficient or cool, how temperature efficient a house is. The Unity, assuming what Nikita said is true, it's if what Nikita says is true, it's Unity, the old version of Unity's networking middleware, basically their layer between the netcode and netcode.
Okay.
So that's where these freezes are happening. If he's wrong, then it's in their code. But either way, the fix, the problem right now is that we have a bunch of windows that are cracked. And
letting this air
are
out.
like that are letting this air out. And people are saying you can't add this new room over here with this wonderful insulation and the walls and everything because it's not going to work, when all we need to do is just change the windows. If we change the windows, then 99% of the heat loss goes away and we're fine again. So if they can fix this freezing, that's where 98% of the issues come from. And the freezing is not because there's too much data going back and forth, because, and it doesn't have to do with loot, it doesn't have to do with the environment, because again, you can have it so that literally nothing is happening with loot or happening with the environment except for AI spawns, which And everybody's sitting there, literally doing nothing because we're the only people that are possibly connected 10 seconds into a factory raid. There's no player scav spawning in. That just proves definitively that
100%.
Or as close as you can get.
As close as you can get to definitively that it's not amount of entities.
It's just a big bug that's causing some freeze, some big lag spike that if they can solve that issue, and if we don't have lag spikes, then like the hit reg otherwise feels fine.
Yes.
The movement is still a little too fast,
100%.
but it's at least predictable and it would feel fine. Like the game would go from being utterly broken to feeling perfectly fine.
Yep, 100%. 100%. And we'll talk about when we get to, because they did talk about Unity, we will be able to basically test this theory we're talking about between now and Streets coming out. So that will bring us
ETS.
Or ETS, and just when Unity, the 2019 version, comes out. So before Streets comes out, we'll have.
Oh yeah. So do we know when? Have they updated us when Unity?
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. So
everybody asks me, what feature are you looking forward to? And I say I don't care about anything in the fucking game except for Unity, because it's right now our best chance at fixing.
Yes, it's like I don't know anything about Unity 2019, but it's the Hail Mary we have. It's our last great
If we have
hope.
the same issue, after Unity 2019 comes out, I will make another video proving definitively, Nikita, the issue is in your code.
Fly me to St. Petersburg. No. Yes, we do know a little bit more about Unity 2019, but we'll get there. We'll finish through all of the street stuff. So 40 player count. They're going to release in segments, which they talked about before. Concordia is as big as some of the current maps that we have. He said, when me and my buddy were texting about this, he said that there are portions of the map that are 100% done, that they just need to basically add loot to and keys. But like the design, he talked about the different stages of, because the E3 guy was asking him about that. Like, how do you go about like building a map like Streets of Tarkov? So he talked a little bit about which was cool, like reference pictures to real life places, and then they model it out and they gray box it. And then he's like, basically, then we have a location and we need to make it fun for video games. So like, there's hardcover around, and then we have to make that feel like it fits in the lore, which I love hearing about that kind of stuff. Yep. But it was cool to hear about the different slices that go into making a map. And he was like, we have portions, we have an entire segments of Streets of Tarkov done, finished, polished, art, everything. It just needs loot and keys. He didn't say how much or anything, but I was like, damn, that's kind of cool. Like, and I was like, at this point, I was like, bro, I was right. We're going to see it. And then on the Pestily thing is when he says he moves it over. But so that was cool. They talked about the APC, the tank. It's definitively a tank. I think Nikita said it was a, I'm just kidding. Have you seen that meme? Team tank, team not tank.
I haven't seen the meme. I've just seen a bunch of people on Twitter be like, I said it was a tank, and now I have like death threats.
Excuse me, it's not a tank. It's a BTR. It's Russian. It was made from the years 1963 to 1967 and a half.
Oh my God, dude.
That's more annoying. Like, I can at least, when someone says clip, my brain goes magazine, but I don't say it out loud because I don't want to be that guy. Okay.
100%.
This is 100 times worse than that. Obscure Russian military fucking lore. Eat shit.
Dude,
like, fuck off.
I know. I tweeted out. I said,
I'm going to call him an ATV now. That's what I'm going to call it, an ATV.
I said, I tweeted this out. I said, big armored vehicle with gun on top hauling people around in Warzone. I'm sorry I didn't know what a BTR was. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so funny. It's become a meme where like Pestily tweeted out, he was like, it's not a tank, and BSG like replied and was like, correct, it's not a tank. But then during the event, during the live event, so I was so proud of this. I have a screenshot. During the E3 event, they were pulling like singular messages from chat and putting them up for like 10 seconds. And as soon as they started talking about the APC, I all caps tank gang, and it popped up on the thing, and I was like, yes. So it was just funny. Anyways, So we got to see the APC roll up and then a bunch of dudes hop off. He made it sound like that's actually not a scav boss. They could be adding new factions like the Russian GRU. It could be Black Division. It could be Raiders. Who knows?
Oh, the Russian GRU. That's like SWAT or like.
Yeah.
I'm trying to come up with. I can't think of many. I'm trying to do the whole it's a tank thing.
Oh,
but
yeah.
For
Clearly, it's actually the...
actually, it's like the Russian SWAT equivalent of the special forces units that only act in like rural areas. But
bro, it's...
But I couldn't think of any other than SWAT. I'm like, it's like SWAT or like... I've got nothing.
SWAT. Anyways, he said that we're going to be able to engage with the tank. I'm just going to trigger everybody in 2 different ways. We are going to be able...
Will you marry me?
We are going to be able... engage. Yeah, okay. I was like, what? Where did that come from? We are going to be able to engage in that in 2 different ways. We are going to be able to pay the driver of that tank to go to a section of the map and just blow stuff up.
What?
I don't know.
Is the fucking interface?
I have no
dialogue
idea.
Tree? Like, dude, I don't get it.
I have no
curious
idea. I don't know if it's just like... You know, a map will pop up and we'll get to pick of only like 3 sections of the map. I have no idea.
What's the like lore behind it? Hey there, I'm Tank Man.
Dude,
want me to blow some up for
just
you?
Some crazy scav that drives around a tank. I have no idea. And secondly, we are going to be able to use it as a taxi to move us from one place on the map to the other place. So
it's weird that they're using a tank as a taxi.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. Well, they should use like an APC or like a like a BTR. That would be a way better choice.
Yeah, like what the SWAT teams use.
So that means it necessitates some sort of in-game interface, like you were saying, right? To tell it between those 2 things. If I'm gonna tell it, somebody said it is a BTR. If
Nah, dude, I'm pretty sure. Whoever that is in chat, I'm pretty sure it's a tank.
Pretty sure it's a tank.
But thanks though.
God, what was I thinking? Okay, there's got to be some sort of in-game interface. Who knows? He said that the counter for it is that before Streets comes out, they're going to add the RPG-7, and it's going to be able to blow it up.
Great.
I know. We're in the weeds of like less cool stuff about talking about like the map and its design, and more into like this one thing, which. We have no idea how it's going to work out. We have no idea how the RPG-7, it's going to be used on labs or factory more than it's going to be used on streets, and it's going to be memes, and it's going to be hilarious. Last news about Streets, he said there's going to be 2 scav bosses at least, potentially 3, and he said that there will be events where you'll be able to see other current scav bosses on Streets, which will be interesting. Somebody pointed out, I think OnePeg pointed out in his video, that like we know that Reshala uses corrupt police officers as his guards. And we also know that there will be a police station. Nikita's talked about this on Streets. So it would be crazy to run into Reshala and a few of his police guards at the police station on Streets every once in a while. Like stuff like that would be dope. He also kind of implied that there would be like meetings between the scav bosses, which makes...
Imagine rolling up to like a gas station on like Shoreline where there's the fire, and on one sign, and there's just like Gluhar and all of his fucking cronies, and then Reshala and all of his cronies just doing like a fucking mafia drug deal.
And you've got an RPG-7.
And the moment you spawn in, you hear 800 different people go...
Oh my god, dude.
Grenades just come in. You spawn, and their sentience assembles into the fucking uniconsciousness of
It's like that scene from 300 where he was like, "Our arrows will blot out the sun, then we will fight in the shade." You just see grenades. You can't even see the sky anymore.
Oh my god! I need to figure out a way to animate that or something. 100%. It needs to just be. Oh, that's good.
What on Soka? And some of them are Vogs. They're blowing up in the air. Like, oh my god. Anyways, so he said one of the scav bosses they want to keep a secret and basically let us experience for ourselves. He said the other scav boss is the one that we know about, which is the car salesman. He's not really a car salesman. He just used the used car lot as his thing. This is really interesting, and I think I like this. He said that the car lot will be a borderline impregnable base of operations. He said that like this dude will have, he's protecting something. He'll have snipers, that this place will be booby trapped, that there's mounted machine guns and guards, and that like it will genuinely be not something that people get all the way through often, but that this scav boss will also roam around like parts of streets and then return back to his place. And I kind of like that as like almost like there is a part of the map that like if you can get through it, there's cool rewards.
No zones.
Yeah, but there's like it's not a barrier. It's not when you cross this line a sniper shoots at you and you die, but it's like an actual like red zone. Like you avoid it. You like really avoid it unless you're like willing to lose your stuff. Like imagine that being like an in raid, like Destiny raid, where like a squad of 4 try to get a good spawn, get there, and then like spend 45 minutes.
You get in fights and everything.
Yes.
So like you need food and water so that like
100%.
when you finally get there and you're like, okay, you probably lost one guy, you've used a bunch of ammo. It's like now I need enough ammo to make it through. It's going to be one of those things that's either going to be completely impossible, or it's going to be like if you just play it this one way,
yeah,
it's easy. You know how people are like, oh, it's easy to kill the scav boss. Sometimes it's just like head tap.
Yep.
Head tap. And then sometimes you're walking along and you hear Wanan Suka and you look up and the arrows have fucking blot out the sun and you are Leonidas.
Yep. So he said he did not say it's impossible. He just said it's like going to be really hard. So I like the thought of an almost end game type of place inside of Streets of Tarkov that like it's completely avoidable, but it's there. And if you want to take up the challenge, there'd be some cool loot. You know what I mean? Like it obviously can't be anything broken where it's like, oh yeah, if you just glide along this wall, the snipers can't hit you, and there's 11 slicks and you just extract right there. Like it can't be.
I mean, it's not like anything subtle or balanced or anything like that. They don't fuck anything up like that ever. So
no, nothing
about it.
So that's the news that we have on Streets. It's getting pushed back. Some really cool. I don't know, man. I'm definitely back on just like I fall asleep. I lay awake at night dreaming about Streets of Tarkov because the new trailer is so sick. Hearing him talk about it, hearing him saying that they're really close with certain parts of the map, it's cool. So we can move on to like all the news we've accumulated on 12.11. 12.11 is basically any day now. Pestily straight up asked, do you have a date for 12.11? And he said, yes, we have a date. I'm not going to tell you that date just in case something happens. But what I can tell you is that it will definitely be this month, which it's the 7th.
What's the date now?
It's the 17th. So we've got.
So it's next week.
Yeah, we have 14 days. Anytime between now. Now he actually said this specifically. He said there will be no Tarkov TV podcast for this patch. So that's why I say it's any day now, because there's normally like a schedule. We see a podcast, then we see patch notes, then we see the patch all within, a week window. And that's how it always is. He said
it's going to be Thursday. There's no way it's not.
At this point, it might be. The only reason why I think...
No, I'm not. Well, no, I mean, I'm like, I don't... It's a meme, but at the same time, it's also like, I think that they pretty much just decide like we do patches on Thursday.
See, I want somebody
I don't think it's actually a meme.
I want somebody to crunch the numbers. I think that used to be Thursdays, and my best guess, I want somebody to go find the dates. I don't know how to do it. I think since the drops event, the very first drops event, which was not too long after patch point 12 and reserve came out, the very, very first one, that came out on a Thursday. And they basically went on weekend break when there were 200,000 people playing the game. And I remember that being a cluster where Nikita was like, they were calling people in on the weekend. Since then, I think most patches have been early in the week, like Tuesdays.
You might be right, but ever since
smaller patches might be on Thursdays, but bigger patches I feel like have been
ever since Pestily made the meme. As far as I know, he's the one that made the meme where he just started to say Thursday. Yeah. I mean, it's like that's something that literally comes up when we have conversations where it's like, please just do it like Thursday, like you're gonna do it on Thursday, and I like, as far as I know, Nikita's like, hey, so I would put money on Thursday, not as a meme, but because Pestily and Nikita's relationship.
Yeah.
Pestily has the meme. They're both invested in,
for sure.
in that.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not gonna be. I'm just saying that it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't either. But 12/11, so 12, yeah. So let's say next Thursday, because how many Thursdays do we have left in the month of June? But he put his flag there. Yeah, next Thursday is the only Thursday. He put his flag there. He said
that would give a week of Killa on Factory.
Yeah, and
so this is like not a pre-wipe event, but a pre-patch event, which is why I said that earlier.
For sure.
I don't know.
We got the Killa thing, and I would tend to agree with that statement. I've been saying that too today. Is like, I feel like it's more just like a pre-patch event, something fun. On Sunday when they were doing the interviews, he was like, look out for something cool happening this week. I'm assuming he was referring to this. A lot of people were also excited about potentially like a labs free weekend because they entertained that idea. And Nikita in one of the podcasts said that would be a cool idea to do for a pre-patch or a pre-wipe. So we're not sure yet if it's gonna stack, if they're gonna do some more stuff over the weekend, or if the Killa thing.
I haven't played labs in 2 fucking weeks. At least
I want him to do free labs. I would play that.
I need to go back because I heard a lot of people, everybody, quote unquote, all the cheaters are all on interchange because I think they nerfed lab loot. I've been gone long enough that
That's funny.
I literally like that could be fucking true. I don't know, but I should go and give it a try.
Yeah. So we don't know if there's anything. We don't know what day 12/11 is coming. We don't know if there's anything else planned over the weekend. We'll see. Did you see the picture, the high res render of Tagilla? Oh my, you need to look it up right now.
I haven't seen jack shit. Is it on Twitter?
Yeah, I retweeted it too, and I think PSG tweets a lot because they retweet people. But
oh, I see. Oh wait, that's Killa. Oh,
dude, my man Tagilla.
You know what the first thing that came to mind before I clicked on the picture to have it grow was clean. For some reason, I'm like,
one of my mods, Adam, tagged Clean and said, "Yo, Clean, you got yourself as a scav boss." How? That's so funny.
I don't know what it is. It's like his shoulders or something.
That's so funny.
Interesting.
But that's Tagilla. He's got the Saiga on the back. He got the old sledgehammer. He got the MMA gloves, the welder's mask. He's got the rig that's obviously a plate carrier. It's the one they teased a long time ago with the big middle finger on the back.
Yeah.
So that's Tagilla. That's the homie. He's gonna be the scav boss.
Can we take his helmet?
Dude, I have no idea, man. We have no idea, man. I don't know. Like, I have so many questions about what's his visibility going to be with that helmet? Is he going to prioritize?
It looks smaller than an Alton.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like
it's like more narrow than, it's like a Killa, but then you squeeze it. So it gets a little taller and a little
Imagine
thinner.
level 6.
Dude, the problem is here's One Peg did some research and like found like that helmet, and it's basically just like cardboard or particle board as a welding helmet, but there's no way it's not armored. He's a scav boss. If I can one tap him with, a grotch, it's not going to be fun. You know what I mean? So, and they have to have it.
Well, unless he has like 300 head HP, like those are like Lucar.
The two things I'm worried about. Not that anybody cares about my opinion, but I am scared that every scav boss seems to have more and more HP. Right, like Killa was like
power creep.
He had like an insane amount of HP, and then Gluhar has like
way more.
It's like
and they keep increasing it.
5 PMCs health pool into Gluhar. It's crazy. And what I'm scared of is that this is going to be the same. He's going to have like it'll be like the Shattered Mask where it's like level 2, but he's got 900 head HP. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to keep with like I played the heck out of the Division. I loved that game, but I want to play a game that's decidedly bullet sponge or decidedly not one where it's like 98.7% of the enemies will all die to one hit. And then these 3, well, you better have different ammo for those 3 because you need 1,600 flesh damage to kill them. So like,
make sure you craft your laser gun for the
exactly. I've always been, so like, I love the aesthetic of the shirtless thing, but I've always been pro. I would rather have a scav boss have level 7 unlootable armor than have 42,000 HP. You know what I mean? If you just make sure, if you put him, you give him a key, the key unlocks a stash. The stash has dope loot. That way you can make him armored without, you know, making it so that I can loot this level 7 armor. I'd rather that personally, because I just, it's just.
Well, that, I mean, the HP is how they effectively introduce power creep. Which is like a thing that if you ever played Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering, or whenever they add something new, it's like, in order to be exciting, it can't just be a slightly different skinned, same stats version of something. They have to make it better in some way. So then you just always end up with the things created now are completely make obsolete everything that came before. But then they need to make it so that if it was gear related, well, then that means now they're, you know, ruining the game because people can loot it and then take the gear. So then they're the solution is to just turn up the HP so that it takes 3. If you walk up to somebody with a 308 rifle and you pull the trigger in their forehead, they will look at you and be okay. And you're going to have to do that again before you kill them.
Yeah.
Like,
so I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that where, I just don't know what his HP is going to be. And exactly the weird trifecta of like that he has to be cool. So then they give him really good loot, but they don't want to break the economy with the loot. So they only make him spawn 11% of the time. So the people that don't play super often either don't run into him ever or grind factory for like days to find him the first time. And then he just one taps you because he's so strong. And it just, dude, like, I'm a little scared.
You know what would be really fucking sick? It would be a different character design than what they have before, because all the scav bosses are so broken from a distance, and the raiders too, because they can see you from forever and their aim is unbelievable. Imagine if like he had his like back to a wall right at the corner, so that like you jiggle peek and you're jiggle peeking and you're fucking eye to eye with him, and it's like where you get hit with the hammer,
that would
like
be
around every
sick.
corner, because then it would feel like you're running from Jason fucking Voorhees, you know, like
God.
And that would be the way that like you can't just fucking run through factory like a madman, because at any point you're gonna get clotheslined by a hammer,
dude.
You know, like
imagine you jiggle peek and you just see that welder's mask, bro. That'd be insane. The other thing I'm worried about is the what I will now call the cultist effect.
I still have never seen a cultist.
Really? Okay. I've seen them twice. I've gotten in fights with them twice. And what do you think? I died both times. What do you think I died to? A gun or a knife?
A gun.
A gun. For years, they were talking about the cultists. They were talking about that they were going to try and knife you. They were going to sneak up on you. They're going to have this poison. They're going to do all this cool stuff, bro. I go out. I go night raiding. I try to find them. And everything they said about their AI is true. They make less noise. They're harder to see. They're harder to spot on thermals, but they don't use the knives. They just shoot you. So it's just scavs on ultra hard mode.
Yeah, it needs to be. Stupid. It needs to be like the way it should be. And you know what? I should do some immersion runs, nighttime woods. Would that be the best chance of me coming across them?
Yeah, night woods, night customs, or night shoreline. But
wait, they go on customs?
Mm-hmm. You can find them at like the fortress.
Okay, so. Like the way that would be, or at least I would design it, would be that they are, if you're careless, they can sneak up. If you're not paying attention, you have your headphones off, they will very easily sneak up on you and stab you and one tap you with a knife. I would be fine with getting stabbed in the neck and dying, as long as if you were paying attention, they're not totally silent. Like if you can hear them coming up behind you,
you've got like one or two audio cues.
They're quick.
Yeah.
And they move quickly. I want to be able to, like a hatchling. I want to be able to, like, every now and then I've been killed by a hatchling, you know, just because it's like, I was careless.
Yeah.
And I want it to be like that, except Like, it shouldn't be. I don't want to just get sent back to my stash like I do with Sturman, where it's like you see Sturman and all of a sudden it goes, and you're dead.
But that's what it is. They have hex grids and they have SVDs. And here's what happens. People are like, they will try to stab you. This is what happened both times. Both times I was looking for cultists. I hear behind me. I turn around and it's a cultist. It's exactly everything they described. It's a perfect minute. It's like a perfect moment in Tarkov. He's swinging at you. You either shoot that guy or run away, and from that point on, it's game on. There's 5 of them, and none of them try to stab you anymore. They're just shooting you when you can't see them. They're hiding in the bushes. They have SVDs, and some of them have hex grids. It's like, I wish that every time you killed one, it reset them, and they would try to stab you first.
They would all go hide.
Yes. And then you have to go look for them. They would try to stab you. Boom, boom, boom. You shoot at one. Either you kill or you don't, and it resets them. And as long as they're exposed, maybe they'll try and use their guns, and then they reset. It would be so much creepier. It would be more fun, and you would be able to survive it, dude. It's crazy. I found him twice, and I just stopped farming them. I was like, this isn't what I was sold on. And
BSG just needs some fucking game designers because they don't have actual game designers.
And that's what I'm worried about.
For people.
That's what I'm worried about with the sledgehammer, right?
Yeah.
It'll be a sledgehammer, and you'll never not see him just shooting you with Magnum Buck to the leg with a Saiga.
Yeah, you
can't loot the sledgehammer.
With Makarovs, they're going to be the ones that are going to die.
We know that you can't loot the sledgehammer, and my concern is that you'll see him from freaking the other side of factory, and he'll Magnum Buck you from 20 yards away, and it'll just be like sick Scav boss. You know what I mean? Like, I am an incredibly optimistic person. Scav bosses are, in my opinion, one of the best overall additions to this game. I love it, but I am just I'm really scared that he's going to have 47,000 HP and he's never going to use a sledgehammer. And it's just going to make me sad because there's so much potential.
It's going to be a JPEG on the back of his character.
Yeah, it's going to, there's so much potential in the Scav boss. You know what I mean? So, but I also recognize that that's a tall order to have him use the sledgehammer enough to be fun, but to have him not super easy to kill, because as long as you're more than a meter away from him, he can't kill you with the sledgehammer, right? Like, I understand that that's a tall order, but it wasn't my design decision to make him have a sledgehammer. It was theirs, so now I'm concerned about the balance, is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? I wish he could throw it at you. That would be sick. If he yeeted that thing at you and it broke both your legs, and then he pulled out the freaking Saiga.
If the Saiga only ever had like shitty buckshot, then he would pop and it would black out your legs, your armor would soak it up, and you would be, if you haven't pre-medded, like if you were careless, then all of a sudden now you're limping and you're like, while it's going to be hard to hit him while you're limping, and he's just going to fucking wham, that would be sick.
That'd be so sick. So we'll see. We will see. So 12/11, any day now. Nobody knows. No podcast. We got the kill event. We got Tagilla. We know that Scav Karma is coming.
Tagilla Cuddy. I'm coining that right now. I'm calling him Mr. Tagilla Cuddy. Let it be known. Someone hold up the newspaper with the date. I'm the first ever person to call him Mr. Tagilla Cuddy.
We got the weapon durability. He talked a little bit about that and how basically I don't know how it will be presented to the character, but whatever back-end % chance that your weapon has to malfunction, the attachments will buff or debuff that. So it's not just, because this was something we were wondering, it's not just like the upper receiver that gets the stat and then you can trick it out and it still has a 2% chance to jam whether it's tricked out or not. He said
so tricking it out will make it better or worse?
Depending on what attachments. Like, I think this is a perfect
opportunity. If you put like a 50-round drum mag, then it should increase the chances of jamming.
This is the suppressors and high-capacity mags should both provide debuffs, and this could be it. He was alluding to the fact that attachments could do it, is going to have an effect. He didn't say anything. This is the chance, bro. If high-capacity mags increase the likelihood, and if suppressors did, woo, we might see some single-fire meta, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So we'll see.
if they fix the net code and those things together,
bro,
it could change. It could
change
literally.
So
it could take it from 100 to fucking 15.
Yep.
Overnight.
Yep. Okay. So there's more of that too. So Scav Karma, cool. They teased some more thermals. They teased the MP155. That's gonna get mad at me. I don't remember the name of the shotgun. The smart shotgun.
Oh, it's the one that the SWAT teams use when they are in the tanks.
Specifically in the tanks.
Yeah.
The smart shotgun. They teased a little image of the thermal. You're gonna be able to put a thermal thing on it, and then there's a little screen on the shotgun. He said that's gonna be extremely rare, but that's cool. And then it looks like a red dot. Like, you know how like an RMR is more like of a square as opposed to like the PK06 is like a circle. Imagine you take an RMR and you make it like 50% taller, so it's more a square than a rectangle, and then that was a thermal. Tiny little like thermal red dot or reflex. And he said these are like garbage.
Thermal, not night vision.
No, thermal.
Thermal.
He said that like in real life they're like garbage. They're like really bad. They're really pixely, really low refresh rate. I just thought that was kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be cool to every once in a while kill a scav with one on his gun, and you got a little thermal. It's not, because right now the two schools of thought are like, if you're kind of a more casual player that doesn't have money, you insta sell thermals because you need the cash. And then, so it'd be cool to have something. It's like, it's not even worth selling this. I might as well run it on a Glock secondary or something. You know what I mean? Like, that would be kind of cool. And then Scav Karma. All right. Man, I love this. I love that we have so much to talk about. Here we're getting to some juicy stuff. Pestily specifically asked about Unity and was like, hey, I know you guys are working on 12.11 and all that stuff. Where are you guys with the Unity patch, the Unity upgrade? And Nikita, immediately, he was like, the 2019 version of Unity on the game is ready to be play tested by people, but it's not ready to be put into 12.11. And we know that once we put out 12.11, everybody's going to be playing the game. So he was like, about 2 weeks after 12.11 comes out, we're going to bring the ETS back online with a Unity 2019 version of the game. He's like, it's ready.
I'm going to go buck wild and test the shit.
I know. The ETS is down because they use those servers for the events and stuff like that.
I did not have how much can we can't talk about
the ETS? Yeah, super strict NDA.
Like nothing, like literally nothing.
As far as I know. We're both going to be in it, so once it happens, we're going to have to DM each other like crazy.
Yeah, this won't. Yeah, so I won't break the NDA. I won't talk about that. But I will say that the other day I was playing normal Tarkov, and it was this weird thing where for a while every raid I would get 1200 ping, and then right after I spawned, and then just get booted from the game. So that was weird, bro. On the normal non-ETS server.
I've been getting crazy where I just get stuck into get kicked before I even get into the raid like 4 times in a row. It's like kick, all right, let's go woods again. Kick, all right, let's go woods again. Kick, all right, I guess we'll go interchange. Kick, well, we could try that again, and then we get in, and then it's fine the rest of the night. But that's been happening to me like every night where I get on like a 4 or 5 series of getting kicked, and then it's fine for the rest of the night.
Huh.
I don't know if that's related at all, but the Unity thing is exciting, bro. He said that it's ready. Unity 2019 build of the game is ready right now. They just want to get 12.11 out, let everybody be excited about what 12.11 is, and then put up the ETS servers again. So the sad thing is that we have no idea if the Unity 2019 build is going to be like utterly and completely broken, and we're still like 6 to 8 months away from getting the full migration, or if like it'll be pretty good and it'll only take them a month or 2 on the ETS, and they'll be like, let's push it out. You know what I mean? So that's the big question. The 2 big questions are, how close are we, and does the netcode change at all? But it's exciting. It's better than, for the past 2 months, whenever we talk about Tarkov, we're just like, all right, rip, nothing's changed, still Tarkov, let's move on. At least we have hope in a few different areas, and this is one. In a month.
I'm glad that I'm back into the game a little bit more now, 100%, too.
Yeah, because playing on these servers will help you baseline, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That's soon. And then Nikita or Pesley asked Nikita about Lighthouse specifically, which you and me have talked about this at length about the whole like they're in gray box and they want this out before Streets.
Did I tell you that I asked Nikita about that?
And he said it's actually like gray box, like proper. They don't have a map yet.
Yeah,
Yeah. You DM'd me, yeah. And let me know.
Yeah, I don't think we ever said on the podcast. I think like 2 podcasts ago, I said I sent him a message.
Yep.
He got back to me because rewind a little bit. So gray boxing, there was question over what that meant. If that meant like the 3D models were literally like gray boxes, like they were only, at that stage of the map design. Whereas there's something called gray box testing, which is in between black box testing, and it's a kind of like quality control. It's a stage in between that is like the difference between the two is one is at the beginning of a process, the other is right before you're done and ready to release, kind of like the second to last test.
Yeah.
So we were like, what do they mean? I was almost positive because he was like, oh, it's coming out soon.
Before
we're doing
Streets,
gray box testing. So it's like it could only make sense if it was this. And then I asked Nikita and he was like, no, it's that. I'm like,
yep.
Okay, I'm confused again.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
So basically, this is what it came down to, is they know we haven't had a map in a long time, and they know we haven't had significant sources of content in a long time. And while parts of Streets are done, I'm assuming that the big enough part for the first iteration of Streets is not done. So he said this. He said that they have currently pulled 70% of all the designers designing on Streets, and they're all working on Lighthouse right now.
But I thought like 80% of the designers had been pulled off of the rest of the game to work on Streets. So that's 70% of 80%.
Well,
how many people are working on everything?
I don't know. I think they've hired a ton of people. Like they basically put all their map designers on Streets, no other maps, and then they've been hiring a ton of people, and then they pulled 3/4 essentially of those people off. And he was like, what he was basically saying is like, we're gonna bang out Lighthouse and get it out this year because it's an infinitely smaller project compared to Streets. And the borderline entire team that was working on Streets is working on Lighthouse. I also think, like we said, that I think that they have an idea of what Lighthouse was. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it's been in gray box for years. Like when they were talking about the maps and they've had a rough layout. We know that part of it's in Hired Ops too, or Hired Ops as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if. So basically, he said they took 70% off and they're 100% going to get Lighthouse out this year, and that was why they were like, we can't just keep pushing Streets and not having anything. So this is going to satiate, which I think is a great call, to be honest with you. With how much you want Streets to be like your love letter to gaming, I want you to get Streets right. I would love to have something else to play though. So Lighthouse is still planned for this year. We don't have any sort of feature list, or we don't have any like date or patch date even with it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know if there's going to be a 12.13 or a 12.14. You know what I mean? Like, we have no idea. But he said that Lighthouse will be out this year, so that's exciting.
We haven't even seen anything with Lighthouse, have we?
Nothing.
We've seen so much. That's so weird that we've seen so much with Streets.
That was
nothing with Lighthouse, and Lighthouse is going to be out earlier.
It was legitimate. Like, I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are they doing this E3 huge push for Streets? The very first question the E3 guy asked was like, man, how excited are you guys to like finally get this out to the world? And Nikita was like, oh no, we're not ready. And it was like, what? Like, why did you put this trailer out then? It was weird. We haven't seen anything.
Oh, we needed to show something.
He's talked before about the Scav boss on Lighthouse being like a sniper that sits up in the lighthouse that like we've talked about that even. So but Lighthouse. Okay. So then a few questions were asked, and through a bunch of those questions we got information about 12.12, which we're getting 12.11 in a week and a half max. 12.12 is going to be the next patch. We don't know if that's going to be like, November and that'll be our Lighthouse patch, or if it'll be like August. But Nikita said that he forced the team to get VoIP in 12.12. Pestley asked him about VoIP, and he basically said so that he could stop answering the question, he told the team that they needed to have VoIP in 12.12.
There's no way they're not going to do it the bad way.
No, I think they will. The right way is easier.
Yeah, I know. But he's never, whenever we've talked about it, and whenever I've talked to him about it, a couple times in private and a couple times on podcasts, he's always just been like, no, it's there. We have all, like, we want to do it this way. Have we seen, has he indicated anything ever that it wasn't going to be like that?
He hasn't, in my opinion, he hasn't indicated ever that it will be like that. Back when he talked about the radios and all that stuff, that was back when he wasn't even sure if they wanted to add it in the game. Those conversations were always circulated around, yeah, I don't know. I used to think I didn't want it in the game. Now I think I kind of do. We could do some cool stuff with it like this and like that. But I don't think there was ever a time where he was like, yeah, we're doing VoIP, and we think we'll do it with radios and this and that. You need to DM him. You need to hit up Pestley. We need to get somebody to, nobody. It's when VoIP. How VoIP? You know what I mean? That's what Papa Jesse wants to know. So we need somebody.
Sending him a message right now.
Please, dude. Be like, you don't have to detail the whole thing out, but just like, is it going to be proximity chat, or is it going to be some garbage radio system? I don't know.
I'm typing this message, so you're gonna have to talk.
That's fine.
I need to send it.
I'll fill the time. So VoIP is coming in 12.12. It sounds like, and the fact that he's like forcing the team to get it done also makes me think it's not going to be this like crazy polished in-game radio system with channels and meetups and handshakes. Like if they're just like, if he's like, just get VoIP in the game, then it'll probably, it's proximity. All I want is a hotkey and proximity chat.
Yeah,
I don't know. He made it sound like they have an official and set in stone feature list for 12.12. Like we don't know what those features are, but he made it sound like they were like the 12.11 team, since they're just polishing 12.11 now, is working on 12.12, and they've cut off like, okay, no more features in 12.12. This is it. Now make those features. And then he confirmed as well that inertia is going to be in 12.12. I don't know, man. I don't know. So there's
the question of, are the things that they say going to be when they say?
Yes.
And if they
always
are they going to be how we want them?
Always. Those are always the questions, though, right?
Those are the two caveats. Yes. I wait with bated breath.
Here's the thing, though. Here's what's exciting, is that, in my opinion, you can ask those questions about all of the features, right? Like, is Streets going to be everything they say? Is Lighthouse really going to come out this year? Is Unity 2019 really going to fix the netcode? Is inertia going to make any difference? Is VoIP going to be fun? You can ask all those questions. In my opinion, even if we get some of those things wrong and they have to be worked on over time, like staring down the barrel of this, Veritas, like this is the most content we've seen in a long time. We got Reserve in October of 2019. Okay. It's been 18 months since we've got an additional map. We've gotten a few expansions. We've got a whole lot of new gear. We got a weight system that, as long as you have a mule stim, is rendered nil. I am excited that we are staring down the barrel of content, bro. Unity 2019, inertia, VoIP, Lighthouse, Streets early next year, weapon durability, Scav karma. Like, I did a video on this. Like, each of these things has the potential to create hours and hours and hours of content. You and me have gone on at length about how VoIP single-handedly could provide thousands of hours.
Okay. So wait, so when you say content, I think I took that differently.
Okay, yeah.
The last, you don't mean like they could add 100 new guns. That's then adding content. You mean like the potential for experiences for everybody,
like
namely
real,
content creators, to make.
Yes, I guess because as a content creator, like I make a YouTube video that's just me, you know, arguing with someone in VoIP. That's content for me. So I get how I mismatch that word. But like
we say, because we've been saying for the longest time that everyone's like, we need more maps and more guns. Like we don't need more content.
Yeah,
it's the core design of features.
Yes,
that's what I'm worried about. And all of these features, they could be introduced and they could make the game worse, or they could change the game and make it perfect.
Yeah.
So I care less about when and more about how, because if we waited all these years and VoIP is, you have to have a radio and you need to walk up to somebody and say, partner up and whatever, then it's the feature has, you just wasted 4 years of my hope.
For sure.
You know, so that's the caveat that I want to put out there.
I get that, but I'd rather, to be honest with you, at this point, after almost 2 years of just content, in the terms of what you were saying, just maps, map expansions, scav bosses, and gear. You know what I mean? Like after 2 years of like 98% content, 2% experience, we're staring at the rest of this year, the last 6 months of this year, and let's say Streets comes out in March, like the end of Q1. Over the next 6 to 9 months, we are staring down more fundamental changes, more experience changes to Tarkov than we've seen forever. I'm down if 2 out of 4 of them are just botched, because at least we're moving in the right direction. I'm so tired of just like sitting and, you know, not getting anything. Like and I don't even have to tell you this, but this is really just for chat and everybody else, but like, I made a video about how each of those things could provide hundreds or thousands of hours of new content. Like Scav Karma could be an entirely new gameplay loop that adds a few hundred hours to each wipe. VoIP could add thousands of hours of content and functionally make us not need wipes anymore if it's super fun. Inertia could make every single close quarters firefight feel, even not even close quarters, even sniping.
Even long.
You can't
when you're going to snipe someone and they go and they freeze, and then you tap exactly where their head was going to be, and then 2 seconds later they're over here.
Or they do the lizard run where they're back and forth and they're turning and switching directions and speed in an instant. It's impossible to snipe somebody. So inertia could make every single firefight feel better. Scav Karma could add hundreds of hours new content. VoIP could add hundreds of hours new content. Lighthouse, so like maps are definitely on the scope of things that we talk about that like are meaningless. Maps aren't as meaningful as VoIP, but they're a lot more meaningful than a new gun, right? Like Reserve has provided thousands of hours of, and you know, additional raids that we got when we're not there. So the fact that we're getting those core experiences, a new map in the next few months, potentially Streets of Tarkov in early 2022, like, bro. Oh, and the Unity thing. And like the Unity thing is that's the fourth. That's the four: Inertia, Unity 2019, VoIP, and Scav Karma. All of those things have the potential to push the needle of Tarkov in a giant right direction. I'm not expecting any of them to be perfect on launch, but I am excited that we're moving in the right direction. That's what it feels like, at least to me.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I don't. Again, the clarification that I want to make is if they released all the things and they were 100% broken, that I wouldn't care. As a software guy, I understand what it's like to release something and be like, fuck, you know, oh, we just got hit with a thing, and have people like pitchfork when it's like, I could have not released it and then found the bug and fixed it and then released it a week later, or I could release it early, get some feedback, and then fix it over the course of a week, and you still got the finished product a week later. For me, what I want to make sure is that I'd rather them design something intelligently and purposefully and have it be broken functionally than have something work perfectly and the design be and the design be, because then that's when you have you have the disconnect between, it's like the objective versus subjective. If I'm having it, the way I feel about these conversations sometimes with Nikita, or whether it's on podcasts with other content creators, it's like we're having a metaphor time. It's like we're having a conversation about like human health, right?
Yeah.
And like longevity or whatever. And everyone else's definition of healthy is like, oh, you're always vomiting and you're bleeding a lot and whatever, but you like live 10% longer.
Yeah.
And it's like that person is healthier. And then here I am saying like, it's not about, you know, the length of your life, but about the quality of it. And so we're just having fundamentally different conversations. And that's the problem, where we're literally talking about arguing different things.
Yes.
And you have to have, in order to figure out what the right move is, in order to have that discussion, you need to agree on what like the terms mean and what the goals are, because then once you can agree on the criteria, then it becomes an objective conversation.
Yeah.
If you say, you know, it's how VoIP, the success of VoIP is going to be based on how many new dynamic engagements come from nothing, and people, sorry, not engagements, like team ups and stuff happen from nothing, like what just happened with me on that with the Scav on Factory. If that's the goal or one of the goals, well then you can prove objectively whether or not it like increases or not the amount of people that play that are teamed up that weren't originally teamed up. But if you can't agree on that, then there's no way. How do I describe this? I feel like I'm like ranting.
I get what you're saying.
If you have different goals, then you're arguing how to achieve different goals, which within each goal, there's a conversation to be had about like, oh, if you want A, then this thing is either good or bad, and let's have a discussion about it.
Yes.
But if you want B, then there's no point in having the discussion about A or the thing over here in this context.
Yes. And that's and I can't, and we both feel that fundamentally when people come into chat, and it's like, man, we're not arguing the same thing. Like this argument cannot end because you want A, I want B. You're telling me why C is a bad idea, and I'm telling you why B is a good idea, and you don't understand why nobody's agreeing with you that A is a good idea. And it's just like, it's all like, we can't win. This isn't an argument we can win. Exactly. Like we have to come to terms on a common objective. Then we can have discourse about how to get there the best way. And I get what you're saying about that with something like VoIP, because the experience is fundamentally different. If I have to run up to you, we do a handshake, we set our radios to channel 7, and now we can talk. You know what I mean? We were talking.
Yeah, like if the point of VoIP is to do that, then the thing is, or if you said the point of VoIP is to make it so that you can like disengage in a fight and be like, I'm friendly.
Yeah.
And I've had this conversation with Clean and Pestily and other people who like are all like sane people, and the idea of like, oh yeah, that thing would be super useful if you could like walk up to somebody and like press a button and whatever. And I always have to say, like, you realize though that 99% of the time, if you're doing that, like, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like one of the features that I don't know if this was in a private conversation or on one of the podcasts, but we had been talking about hand signals, and I was saying if one of the hand signals was like this.
Oh yeah. So out of cover.
Out of cover you could wave your hand, because they had said something like someone was arguing for like, oh well, make it so that like you can put your hand. Oh, you know what it was? It was low ready.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if it was Clean or if it was Pestily or somebody was talking about like, oh, in DayZ you have low ready so you can like feel safe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you realize though that in the time it takes in Tarkov for you to look at somebody and say, are they low ready? You're dead already.
Yeah.
It has to be
a
way of verbal, or a way of not putting yourself at significant risk.
Yes. Like
hiding behind cover and waving your hand and being like, over here, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It needs to be like that. So you can argue all day long whether or not low ready is a good feature and whether it's going to fit. But if your main criteria is to not get shot on sight, I'll just go low ready and then peek.
Yeah, you're going to die.
If your assertion is wrong, then you die.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. And I'm super interested to see, because that was the thing. Like, that was the one thing through the interview I really wanted. I wanted the one step deeper, because Nikita was really willing to offer up that information that VoIP was coming in 12.12. And I wanted Pesley to be like, hey, can you tell us anything about how that's going to function? Because nobody really knows. We've gotten some theories in the past. Exactly. So, like, I'm really interested to see what he says, even just at a high level, if it's more just proximity chat. Because we've been talking about this a lot. So, like, we've had this conversation a million times, but, you know, VoIP, it's just going to be toxic and racial slurs and people playing stuff over the radio. And then I say, well, look at a game like DayZ. And it's like, it's amazing. And then they say, well, have you ever played Rust? And we started to go down this road in chat where it's like, it's not about VoIP. It's about the game. And does the game and the game's mechanics incentivize you to want a healthy experience? And that's what will dramatically change.
Let's not put the right features in because some people might be shitty about it.
So what does the game? And so then we started having a critical look at Tarkov, because, you know, a game like Rust, you know, at its core, it's like it's about base raiding. It's about, you know, going and getting other people and trolling them. It's a more arcadey game. So I kind of get that it attracts more of that kind of toxicity and stuff like that. It's not to say there are no good experiences that happen on Rust, but they're fewer and far between. And then you look at a game like DayZ, and it's brutal. And if you want to progress and you come across a dude and they're like, the game lends itself to better interactions. Like, people talk about unconscious snates all the time in Tarkov. And I'm like, why the hell would that ever get added to the game? Who's not going to shoot me? I've played DayZ a total of like 14 hours and I got robbed and left unconscious multiple times. And that's crazy, because it's like, why wouldn't they just kill me? They handcuffed me. They took some of my stuff. They didn't took everything, and they moved on. And I remember
you don't have a dog tag.
And I remember being like, what? That's crazy. And then I ran into more people in DayZ, and we talked and we chatted and we teamed up. And playing DayZ is what turned me. I used to think VoIP was such a terrible idea, and I was like, it's crazy, because all of those arguments that people say, man, they're just gonna, it's like, but they didn't in this other game. So it's hard, because I feel like that's going to make or break VoIP. Is there enough reason and incentive to team up, to have a good experience?
And if it's done right, then yes.
Yeah.
If it's done the wrong way, you know, then it won't be there, and it'll just, like, everybody will say, you guys wanted VoIP and you said it was going to change the game, and it's done nothing. It's like, because it was fucking done wrong, and it wasn't done to where I can yell at somebody on the other side of a wall, you know. But I just have to get this out of the way, because I'm sick of reading it in chat. It's making my fucking blood boil. First of all, none of you guys who are talking about TOS and streamers, none of you are actually concerned about that. So fucking stop pretending like you're actually concerned.
Oh, yeah.
B, you don't understand the TOS at all. And if someone runs up and yells the N-word, the streamer is not getting banned.
Nope.
That is not how it works. It is never how it's worked.
There are other games
or maybe
on
it was
Twitch
at one point
with VoIP right now. This moment.
Yeah. So it's not going to be, and that's one of those things. Like, if they say that and I kill them, I now have a clip and they're getting fucking banned because I'm sending, you know, the shit to Nikita and he's going to get rid of them right away. And the other aspect of it is, if you don't like it, you can turn it off.
Unbelievable.
The menu option has been, I keep saying this, and this is my favorite thing I've ever fucking coined.
Me too. I'd say
the menu option has been in the game for longer than you've been playing it, to mute players. So it already, like, I guess maybe I didn't coin that. Fluven said, I think maybe Fluven thinks he coined it. Maybe he did, and I'm just misremembering.
You put it in a video first.
Actually, wait a minute. I put it in a video, but I think it might have been, I think Fluven said, yeah. Okay, yeah. I take it back. I didn't coin it, but I brought it to the world. Okay, I popularized it. I'm pretty sure he had the idea. But the last piece is that people are like, one guy just said that people are going to use like music or loud noises to mask their movement. I don't understand. I don't think you realize that what you're talking about is rather than hearing pitter patter of footsteps 3 feet to my left, I'm going to hear loud dubstep.
Someone's going to have a
left.
boombox on their shoulder.
It's
that'll conceal them.
All you're going to hear is Gopnik fucking thump 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 and then you'll hear a single gunshot and then the music will turn off. Nobody's gonna make them. You might as well turn on the fucking radar on the UAV for everybody else. It's not gonna happen.
Dude, that reminds me. Have you ever seen any of those videos? It's like an army guy and he's got like something Velcro, like a Velcro patch. He's got to open up his pocket and he opens it. It's really loud. And he's like, my general told me a way that no one's ever gonna hear the Velcro ever again. And he goes, ah, and screams when he takes it off. That's the logic. That's the logic.
I hate that you just said that because one of my community members, Boopus Magoopus, he's been trying to get me to lose these you laugh, you lose challenges, and he always fails every single fucking time. But in the one I watched 2 days ago, one of the patches was, or one of the clips was the guy with the patch who was just like, you just fucking, yell when you pull the... I can't believe that he just sent that.
That's the logic, though. If I play music loud enough, no one will hear me. Like, what? Anyways, I don't know if it's because we just need to like get off the internet permanently or what, but I just can't believe the backlash to VoIP and to inertia. It reminds me of the backlash to medical animations. You know what I mean? It's like Fortnite has medical animations. Call of Duty has medical animations. And the same people that go around toting this to be such a hardcore military simulator game were freaking out that the medical animations were going to ruin the game. That is how shallow I see these arguments. Inertia is going to ruin the game. It's going to be so stupid. Oh, you play CSGO? Yeah. You play Apex Legends? Yeah. They all have inertia. Shut up. VoIP is just going to be toxic people screaming racial slurs like no other video game that you can go watch right now on Twitch. Exactly. Most of these people don't actually care about the streamer. They just don't want VoIP in. Most of these people don't know the TOS. They just don't want VoIP in. It's just
This is the one game,
blowing, dude. It's crazy.
If I was playing Rust or PUBG or whatever, and someone yelled a racist word, I'm not getting a hold of Notch on Minecraft to get someone banned. But Tarkov is the one game that I could be like, yo, dog, I have a clip of a guy who yelled the N-word, and he's literally banned in 30 fucking seconds.
Yeah.
So, like, if we're going to have that in any game, it's going to be the game that they paid $50 to get banned in, not the fucking some free-to-play bullshit that you'll never get banned in because there's no way to prove it, and the developers are so far removed from the player base.
And it's like, I am not saying there's going to be no toxicity. It's just like, here's what's going to happen. I made this. This is my other hot take. I'm calling it now. Like, VoIP and Tarkov will 100% be toxic as hell for a month because everybody's going to use it. It's going to be a new...
We've been defending it for so long and everybody hates me.
It's going to be a new feature and everybody's going to want to play their music or do whatever. I'll run through singing Bonanni. You know what I mean? It's going to be fun. But then there's going to be a portion of people that called it being toxic that are going to want to make sure their call comes true. So they're going to be toxic and they're going to operate under the anonymity of the internet. And they're going to be the ones, the people that are going to be like, people are just going to be saying the N-word. They're going to be the ones running around saying the N-word, trying to prove their point. And that'll get boring or they'll get banned. And so
what'll happen is as soon as the first time it happens, okay. The second time it happens, okay. The third time it happens, well, now I know I'm being targeted, and I hit switch on the Switch, and then now they don't get to do that, troll me anymore, 100%. And
100%. So it's the same thing to me as like asking Nikita when the wipe is. It's a waste of time. Every time we get Nikita for 20 minutes, man, it's like, this is the creator of the game. We can ask him about amazing features that are coming. And it's like, when's wipe? When's VoIP? We just ask him the same thing. This is it. It's like, it's irrelevant conversation. You can turn VoIP off. Shut up. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, I guess on some level people are like, well, maybe, why spend development time making VoIP? It's going to be bad. But like, it's just such an irrelevant conversation, man. Like, there are other games with VoIP, dude. They exist. They're fun. A lot of them are fun. Twitch streamers aren't getting banned left and right. You know what I mean? It's like, just please, for the love of God, let them make the game and let's just test it. And then there's the whole, like, if you think a feature is going to be trash before it comes out, then you end up just thinking it's trash no matter how good or bad it is. That's been my thing, is I feel like what I'm defending is not Tarkov, but it's rational thinking. But then what happens is, by the time the feature comes out, if it's bad, everybody's like, you said it was going to be good. And I was like, no, I didn't. I just said that your argument that it was going to be bad was waste of breath. You know what I mean? I never said it was going to be good. And so I feel like I'm getting
everybody's right for the wrong reasons. They get fucking lucky, and it's a broken clock that's right twice a day. And then
exactly,
those folks are the most confident about.
I get so scared. I get so pegged into, like, if it's garbage, then it's like, well, you defended it, and it's like, no, I didn't defend it. I defended thinking before you speak. That's what I'm trying to defend here. So I don't know, but as I guess wrap up Nvidia stuff. He said Nvidia Reflex is coming soon. He said that he accidentally leaked DLSS. He said that Nvidia came to him and was like, all right, we want to do like a announcement, like a surprise. And he was like, oh, I already told everybody. He didn't know it was supposed to be a secret. So DLSS is coming at some point. But basically the recap of everything, Streets got pushed. We got a lot of really cool information about that. 12.11 is coming soon. The ETS servers for Unity 2019 right after that. 12.12 is going to have inertia and VoIP and potentially 2 maps over the next 6 to 8 months. So it's equally as exciting as it is scary. I'd rather be scared and excited than bored. So I'm okay with a little bit of scary, because I'm glad that we're moving in the direction. And I just pray to Lord Nikita every night that it's the right direction. Because I totally get what you're saying. If it's a fundamentally flawed system that can't be tweaked into perfection, then that's going to be a bad, you know what I mean? That'll be a whole thing. But I'm just hoping we're heading in the right direction.
Yep. I got faith. Give it enough time, they can pull off
for sure
what they want to pull off. It's just, do they want to pull off what I want them to pull off?
Yeah. 100%.
That's always the question.
So that's the Tarkov news.
Yeah, we don't have too long left. And coincidentally, I also didn't get super far in my science. It's going to take a few more days because it's turning out to be more interesting and complicated than I thought. But effectively, what I'm doing, which is eventually going to be sometime soon, hopefully a Tarkov science video, which I haven't done for a while, is it's answering a question that 1 million people, I don't think they realize it, but 1 million people feel this thing, and they know it and they understand it, but they could never articulate it, or if they did, they would articulate only a part of it.
Yeah.
And it's, why is it that you like the voodoo and the the voodoo, the Valde, and maybe the Bravo or the Elcan, or why do you like these 3 scopes, and then why are these other 3 scopes completely fucking useless? And a lot of people can give you reasons like, oh, well, it's because it's too small or whatever. But in my testing, there really is like 6 discrete properties that all I need to talk with some math folks.
Interesting.
Because effectively what we're dealing with is and I have sick visuals for all this stuff. I went through and I bought every single optic in the game. I'm going to do one video that's going to be on the variable optics, like the Valde and the Voodoo, and also like combat optics. So it's that and like the hammer and also like the ACOGs, like anything that has magnification that isn't a sniper scope.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably do a video with the sniper scopes and like the compact sights, like the dots, the reflex dots, separately, because I can probably make that one video. But when you scope in, first of all, the whole screen gets scoped in.
Yep.
Like you're squinting kind of thing.
Yep.
Now that seems to be consistent. So what you're comparing is the zoomed in version of the screen, and then what you have to compare is what part of the scope is actually being shown. Like, how do I describe it? You're looking at the sight picture, and the sight picture might be full screen, you know, but that actually only represents a small circle in the distance.
Yes.
So, but if you think about it, you have a circle here that is in the distance, and then you have the circle on screen. Everything in between these two circles is all blind spot.
I know.
So there's a ratio. There's a ratio of the area that's being magnified, how much it's being magnified, how much that is then takes up of your screen, how much of the screen is blocked by the housing. There's so many things that all correspond. At first, I thought it was how much of the screen is blocked by the housing, but
that's only part of it.
All of the PSO scopes, that's like 2, 3, and 4 in terms of ranking for the amount of screen that's blocked. There's the Valde is number 1, and then it's like PSO, which not that many people use, and some people like it, but it's not like revered like the Voodoo. And the Valde, the Voodoo is halfway down the list behind a bunch of other things that people don't use. But even though it's like percentage by pixel, the thing is that it's a much thinner rim.
Okay.
So, and it's also a much bigger sight picture.
Yes.
So it's you're only ever going to maybe block half of a person standing in your peripheral vision by that housing, whereas you could have something that blocks less of the screen, but if it's a big rectangle on the left-hand side, you could fit a whole fucking gangbang in there. Yeah. So there's so many interesting aspects. Wow. So before they do this whole optics rework that they're planning on doing at some point in the future, I want to get a baseline for I want to come up with one number. Like a score that is an effective number that says how much of the screen is a blind spot, how much of your peripheral can you see versus can you not see, how much is ruined with that, all these ratios and ratios and ratios of ratios, and literally it's like ratio of a ratio, and then one of those ratios is the numerator, one of those ratios is the denominator. Gosh. I'm trying to work through it, but because I want to be able to, it would be great if I came up with a number. And then let's say they do the optics rework and everything's fucking great and everybody's using the ACOGs and everything's awesome again. Then I could apply the same math to this thing and all the numbers went up.
Yep.
Like that would be a perfect proof of my concept.
That's crazy.
And that would also inform future development of, if you want to design a scope that people like to use, here's what you need. You need to be within this ratio of like FOV to magnification to screen size to, and then I could give it to Nikita and be like, this is what you need to keep in mind when you add scopes to the game. Because every time they add scopes, it's like a coin flip, whether or not it's going to be useful.
Good or bad. Yep. Like that NC Star CC, it's like a CCTV camera. It looks like a freaking camera with the red dot on top. Like that one feels atrocious. And that's one of the newer long range optics, you know what I mean? So
and interestingly enough, in my first pass through just running the raw numbers, because first thing I did was go into Photoshop and I isolated all the layers for every single scope. So there's the sight picture, and then the housing, and then there's the screen. So you take all the pixels. Oh, and then you take all the pixels on the screen, which 1920 by 1080 is the resolution I'm doing this in. And I also remove at the bottom of the screen where like the gun is, where if you were to lift the shoulder up the gun with no optic, you know how it like looks funny? It's a little triangle. I delete those pixels from the housing, which I've then separated out, and then I count the pixels in the housing, figure out what percentage of the screen that takes up, and then I figure out what the circumference and radius and the area of the sight picture is, and what percentage of the screen that is. And you can look at different scopes, and like the Voodoo is, from all the numbers I've gathered, halfway down the list.
That's so interesting.
Which tells me it's some meta combination of all these numbers
that makes it feel better.
And the interesting thing was, the first thing I noticed was, so it was the percentage of the screen that's blocked by like the housing, but then also the size of the site picture, but then also the fact that the voodoo is like 1.2x. It's not 1x. It's like slight magnification.
A lot of them are like that, yeah.
But the site picture is also as big as the screen.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The Valde blocks half as many pixels with the housing, but the site picture is half of the area. So if you look at both numbers, one is 2x and then one's divided by 2, they're equal. They would have like, just looking at those two things, their score is, so I'm like, that's where I started to think like, oh, it's not one of these numbers. It's how these numbers correspond. And I got to figure it out. It's just an interesting thing that
crazy.
I'm going to have to do some brainstorming and maybe talk to some folks smarter than me, but it would be sick to be able to come up with like 100%. A reference number.
Yeah. 100%. That's so interesting. I would watch the hell out of that science video. That's super interesting. And then we know that the optic rework is imminent. We know that they're trying to work on a few things, but we have no idea how many of those things are going to take into account. You know what I mean? So that would be a super interesting comparison pretty soon.
Yeah. And then also I started to look at some other games, and you know how like Call of Duty, when you scope in, it's literally like there's whatever the scope is like a JPEG of the screen that just gets full screen in a circle, but then everything else is black around it.
Yep.
No other game gives you peripheral vision when you're aiming.
Double rendering.
So everybody always says, oh, it's definitely how much of the screen is blocked by the housing. And it's like, I don't think that's the case. That's just what people notice because they look at the ACOG and the ACOG's 20 feet away from your head. So what you're seeing is a tiny circle magnified 3 times, but then shown in a tiny circle on the screen. So you can't see anything, and you have this blind spot created by the magnification.
Yep.
But it also has a bulky ass housing. But it doesn't matter that you have a bulky ass housing. It could be like a 1 pixel stroke, and it wouldn't matter. The scope would still suck.
It would still feel bad. Yep.
But if you take the site picture and you were to fucking zoom it in to where it's right up next to your face, full screen, and completely block the rest of the screen, the ACOGs would probably feel pretty good.
Yep, dude, that's so interesting. That's so interesting.
So this is why I think it's like, I'm going to tell you why you like the scopes.
Yes.
And then you don't even know why. You think you know why, but it's wrong.
100%. 100%. That's crazy. That's super cool. I'm super excited about that. That's super cool.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
And I got nothing else. I'm all petered out.
Yeah. I mean, I think...
And I want to kill Killa.
I think that's it. I think... thank you guys for hanging. So this was definitely a more Tarkov-focused one. We didn't get to, go through any messages or anything, but it's exciting, man. It's exciting. Just when I was feeling cynical and down about Tarkov, now I'm super excited again. There's a lot, man. There's a lot of individual things that could change the game pretty profoundly, each of those things. So it'll be crazy interesting to see how those do it. 12.11 coming soon, and then almost immediately after, we'll get some ETS of Unity 2019. So some cool stuff coming. Hopefully next week we get like a patch or something, and we can talk about that, or at least patch notes we can talk about on the podcast. But thank you guys so much for hanging with us. It's a weekly show. This will be out on all of the platforms early next week. If Tarkov starts rolling again and there's lots to talk about and there's lots to have fun, we might start bringing in some other guests. I know a lot of people have expressed interest, so a lot of cool stuff could be rolling in. So thank you guys so much for hanging. And as always, we will see you on the next one. Peace.